All right, everyone. Alex the historian here, and I wanted to share with you a really cool video. Now, or a really cool, interesting fun fact. Now, I already published a live stream where I talked about this new tunnel I discovered in Disneyland, and I decided to make a much more clean cut video that is much more to the point because the other one was 38 minutes long and I was just really excited and wanted to share information with people. But without further ado, this is what I learned. So as I was making my history video about the Jungle Cruise, I was looking at old photographs of Disneyland. I keep a huge collection of photographs. This file I'm looking at is simply just for Pirates of the Caribbean alone. I just like to keep old photographs at Disneyland because it's fun. I keep it for my own personal enjoyment, and it helps me when I make history videos. That's still not the image I'm looking for. Where is it? And so I was looking to find imagery to talk about a service road that existed right here along the edge of the Jungle Cruise a long time ago. And in this photograph, that service road is not visible. But I'll tell you what was visible. I went and I zoomed in on the photograph like this, right? And I saw all the usual stuff I'm used to seeing. This photograph was taken between 1962 and 1963. Pirates of the Caribbean's Wax Museum area is under construction. At this time, they hadn't even yet decided that it would be a ride, which would take up two separate buildings. But they had already built a tunnel that would give access to the Wax Museum and the kitchens of New Orleans Square. But as I'm panning over this way and looking over in this direction, I see this little rectangular box here, and I'll just kind of circle around it there. But that rectangular box, I almost didn't even notice it. It kind of blended in with all these other bushes and things, and because it's so pixelated, it didn't appear normal to me. But nevertheless, it looked like a tunnel entrance. And then I looked over here to see where it led to, and there is in fact a dip in the ground right by the train station. This here is the New Orleans Square train station, freshly constructed. And so there is a dip in the ground there. So that would be where the tunnel lets out. And I was thinking, that's still pretty deep underground. Where would that go to? So I decided to look up another image. It was just a few pictures away. And I'll zoom in on this one. This one is, this picture was taken in 1963 or 64. So this is about a year later at least. And as I zoomed in, there is that tunnel I thought I discovered. And again, the main show building where Pirates of the Caribbean is, which would have the pirates attacking the Spanish Main, all that would be right here. So it's to the left of that building, but yet still to the right of the Haunted Mansion show building. And yeah, and you can see it's got these concrete retaining walls. It's very similar to a lot of other concrete retaining walls that they have around Disneyland, including this one here. This one here, they kind of look like little wings with their little triangular shape. So I kind of recognized it. And I decided to go online to Google and see if I can find it today. So I went over to where Pirates of the Caribbean is, and remember, it would be to the left of the show building. So by hitting Shift, I can kind of turn Google Maps here. And I kind of zoomed in, and being a former cast member, I was used to walking up this stairwell right here. This led me into New Orleans Square, and I could walk back here to get to my lunch break area. But when I zoomed in here, I saw these little triangular concrete retaining wall wingtips. And judging based off of this picture, I know that both sides are symmetrical. So that led me to believe that there's sheds and other things in front of this. And then I saw this little ramp that leads down to seemingly nowhere but a dark hole. And I realized this is the same one. This is the same exact tunnel, and this is the entrance to it. Whether or not it's open or closed, I don't know. It's probably still closed, and I have a few people I can ask to see if it's still around, or if it's, or if they're even allowing cast members to walk under there. But then I started wondering, what is this for? because there's another tunnel on the other side here, and I'm not going to show too much detail, but this is the side of the tunnel, and that goes into the back of house, and all that allows them access into the kitchens and to Pirates of the Caribbean. So they don't need a tunnel over here for anything else but access to New Orleans Square. After really studying the image, I was thinking about how these pictures were taken before Pirates of the Caribbean was even thought to be a ride yet. It was just going to be a wax museum located in the basement of New Orleans Square. So their access to it would have been this ordinary tunnel that we already know exists. But this one here, which I never knew about, what does that lead to? And I remembered that that the stage in the French Market, this is the French Market restaurant, there's a stage here hidden by trees. This stage was designed so it could lift up and down into the ground, so that way musicians can get into the stage, and the stage would rise up into regular ground level, and they could start performing without ever having to walk onto the stage in front of people. And so there's another example of that in Disneyland over by Tomorrowland Terrace in Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland Terrace, the stage was designed that same way. There's a tunnel that crisscrosses the land here, and performers can get onto the stage underground, and the stage will lift up, and the performers will magically appear before your eyes. And so this tunnel was built just a few years before that. This land was built just a few years before that, so was the tunnel, actually. So I kind of realized this tunnel might have been designed for performers and other cast members who don't work in the restaurants or Pirates of the Caribbean to be able to have access to New Orleans Square and Frontierland without having to be seen by everyday guests. Now today, that's not really the case. Again, I said cast members use this stairway nowadays and cross over the Disneyland Railroad tracks, but this tunnel would have been used to get them underneath the tracks. Now, lastly, is it still used today? I highly doubt it. You see all these pipes and plumbing and things? This is for the HVAC systems that cool or heat the air inside the Pirates of the Caribbean show buildings and the restaurants and shops and things. I imagine that once they turned Pirates of the Caribbean into a ride and built this giant show building and realized they needed a lot more system support and all that, they probably decided to keep this tunnel just for HVAC and stuff. But again, Disneyland is not master planned like Walt Disney World was. Disneyland is very much a place where when they build something new, they end up wedging it into already existing places. So when you look at this old photograph of Disneyland, it's not master planned. They weren't thinking, oh, we're going to need a tunnel for HVAC. They would have just put the HVAC on top of the building here. And then same thing with Haunted Mansion would have had its own isolated air conditioning system. They had no idea they were going to build such a giant ride facility that would require way more cooling than the simple building that they were installing inside Disneyland. So again, this is all reason of deduction, but I imagine, yes, this tunnel would have originally been used just for getting cast members in and out of the land without being seen, but became used for HVAC nowadays. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. It's a little window into how I discover things. A lot of people always wonder, how do you figure out the tiny little details that most people don't even know about? And this is an example of it. A lot of times I just stumble upon it and I remember it and I keep it, and then I find ways to figure out whether or not this stuff is true or false, and I will eventually figure out what this is currently used for. But as for now, at least you know it is there, and it's something that not many people are even talking about, if not at all, and that it's even in this old photograph here. So I hope you enjoyed this, and it's a little window into how I operate my channel and how I discover things of historical nature at Disneyland. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and be sure to check out my history videos. Just go to my playlist page on my channel, and you'll see my Disneyland History Today video series on there. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and enjoy. Thank you all very much, and I hope you all have a magical day.